Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 275th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. As you can see straight away, it's not the usual flat featureless map. This battle was fought on the Germanic Forest map. And our first teammate is RTW player Mahoney, who has bought the Rome Scipio faction. I think Mahoney is a newer player to RTW. But he's joined a couple of our games in the last few months. Seems to be quite a good player there. Just like to draw your attention to his army. Can you see that he's got an infantry general and an eagle unit there? So when his infantry gets into the actual fighting, he's got a lot of morale there to give to his infantry with those two morale giving units. Let's have a look at his cavalry. If you look at his cavalry there, you can see they've got 7 upgrades on each. So that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So his cavalry look pretty tough as well. So I think all in all, that's a pretty good Roman army there. It should be interesting to see how well he does during the course of the battle. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member Cal, who's also bought the Rome Scipio faction. And it looks to me like Cal's got, I think it's about 14 infantry, and I think he's got 6 cavalry. I think there's a cavalry unit hiding in the trees over there. So, as I say, he's got like, if you like the bog standard 31k army there, 14 infantry, 6 cavalry. If you look at the upgrades on Cal's cavalry there, you can see there's 7 upgrades. So once again, that's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So that looks a pretty solid army to me there. And our third teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has unusually bought the Greek cities faction. Now, some people have asked me why my name's Spartan Commander and I don't play with the Greek factions much. And that's because when Rome Total War first came out, I played with the Greek cities faction for the first 3 months of Rome Total War, hence my name. Now, this is a very old army that I've brought to the battlefield. One of my original armies there. As you can see, I think it's about 14 Spartan units. And I'd like to draw your attention to, I've got 5 archer units. Just look at these Spartans. As you know, they've got the 2 hit points, and I've got gold shield, gold attack upgrades on them. As you can see, their pikes are not that long, but they can still do a lot of damage. And as I say, I've got 5 of the cheap archers here. Not Cretan archers, the cheap ones, but there is a reason for that, and I'll explain that a little bit later as the battle develops. So that's my old Greek cities army there. Should be interesting to see how well it does on the modern day battlefield. So there's our team, but you wait till you see the other team. Should be a great one for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Chimera member Tamahak, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction. And as you can see there, he's got 6 cavalry units there in that unusual formation, a tight formation there. And I believe, looking at the upgrades, he's got about 7 upgrades on each one of those cavalry. 7 or 8 upgrades on that cavalry, so they're going to be tough. And that looks a pretty good SPQR army to me. And the second teammate is COH Piper, who has bought the Germania faction. Let's have a look at this Germania army here. As you can see, he's got 2 long-range chosen archers. And these archers, say, got long range and could do a lot of damage, and they're so tough you can actually use them as light infantry when they run out of arrows. So they are quite a tough archer units there. And then we have the chosen axemen. Now, if you notice, the upgrades on these axemen are 8 upgrades, so that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. And remember, those axes are effective against armour and can cut wide swathes through heavily armoured troops like Roman urbans. So there you are. I see he's got 7 units of those effective against armour axemen there. Then we move on to the infamous berserkers. And there we have the berserkers there. Remember, these berserkers are based on real historical characters who used to literally go berserk in battle. They either had a cocktail of drugs or were drunk or actually had mental health problems. And as soon as the battle started, they literally went berserk. Even out of battle, people tended to avoid these berserkers because they had kind of an aura about them of kind of like stay away. And in this game, that reflects their toughness. They have effective against armor maces and 2 hit points and are extremely dangerous. And these guys, make no mistake, can be battle winning troops. And then we have the Knight Raiders there, and if you notice they've got 7 upgrades. That's an experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack. Remember, these Knight Raiders, like the Berserkers, bring a fear factor to the battlefield and lower the morale of enemy troops. Once again, if you like, using that lowering of morale to be able to rout enemy troops. So those 5 units there are morale sapping troops, very useful. And then we move on to the Germanic Gothic cavalry there, Germania Gothic cavalry. These cavalry are very underestimated, but if you look at their specifications, they are very good cavalry. And I see that he's got 7 upgrades, so that's an experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And as I say, if you look at the specifications of this cavalry, they are really good. And I see he's got 6 units of them. So all in all, that's a pretty tough Germania army, and it'd be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. That could be a battle-winning army there. And then our third teammate is a COH Terminator, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. So as you can see here, we're up against 3 really good players, 3 clan members, got lots of experience, really good players. And as I say, this should be a clash of the titans and should be a great battle for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. At this stage of the battle, I just thought we'd have a look at my teams, how they've actually opened up here at the very early stage of the battle. Can you see that Mahoney and Cal have moved side by side, and I've split my Greek cities, that old Greek city army of mine, into 2. So I've got 7 Spartan units in each of those armies, A and B. So each of those armies are extremely strong, and I can use either of those armies to support my allies where needed. If you notice, my allies have got 6 cavalry each, so we've got 12 cavalry. And looking at the enemy team there, if you notice here, can you see that Tamahac's got quite an old-fashioned wide formation there, and on being on the flank, he may well be able to flank our ally here, Mahoney. That is quite a wide formation that Tamahac's got there, so as I said, he may look to flank Mahoney. And as you can see here, they've got the Germania army in the centre, and as I say, Tamahac, and they've got 6, 12, 18 cavalry units against our 6. So I've got to make sure that by choosing Greek cities, I have put my allies at a cavalry disadvantage, so I've got to try and make up for that by using the Greek cities in a very aggressive manner. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle, let's talk battle tactics and strategy here from the Germania-based team here. Now, what they're going to be looking to do is, this Germania army is an extremely aggressive attacking army, not built for defence. It's a rush army ready for attack. And what they'll be doing now is looking at which one of my Roman allies they would like to hit. Obviously, Germania would die very quickly. The troops would die very quickly on my pikes. That's why I've bought them. So they will be trying to avoid my pikes like the plague, but they'll be looking to take out one of my allies. Now, if you notice that one of my allies is Cal, an experienced battle-hardened veteran of RTW, been playing, I think, since it first came out, and so they know that he's a very good player, and you've seen him loads of times on battle videos on this channel. So whether they'll target him, I'm not sure, or they may go for the newer player to RTW, Mahoney. I believe he's a new player to RTW. Now, he may well be the target for them. So that's probably who they probably go for, as he's a newer player. And what the tactics would be is, what they would like to do is, like this enemy SBQ army here would like to engage the forward units of Mahoney's army there. Engage and pin them so that all those units are engaged. And then when they're engaged, Germania would then bring their effective against Axemen through their SBQ ally to attack once again the forward units of our ally, and then they would bring the Knight Raiders in and Berserkers in as well, and then that would cause lots of those units to rout, and finally they would charge in a combination cavalry attack of Rome and Germania, which would probably rout that entire army of our allies there. That's what they would like to do to that Roman army there. And of course, if Cal or myself try and send reinforcements over and our units run into routing units of Mahoney's, then our units' morale will drop and they'll start to rout as well. So that would be the tactic that the enemy would like to do, is to take out one of our Roman armies there by using that particular tactic. And of course, because I've got my 2 Greek cities armies split into 2, I would be doing the best I can to try and stop that by moving either one of those armies forward to try and stop the Germania attack there. So it'll be interesting to see what tactic the enemy team uses here. As I say, that's what they would like to do. They would like to target one of my allies there. As I say, pin one of the armies with their Roman armies, then charge their Germania troops through, and they would rout them. A lot of veterans watching this have seen that done time and time again. So it'll be interesting to see how the enemy goes about this battle. I think this could be very tactical here, because as I say, I've got my 2 Greek-cities armies right behind my allies, and so they're ready to stop the Germania troops if they attack. Right, you see these Roman archers here, very cheap Roman archers, shooting into the enemy. But remember, those Roman archers, they're only about, I think with upgrades on, they're only about 200, 250 for those cheap Roman archers. But those auxiliary archers of the enemy, I think with just gold attack, they're about 520 denarii each. So they're firing expensive arrows into those cheap archers. So rather than take those elite archers around the flank and shoot into the flanks of our elite troops, they're just targeting the those cheap enemy archers in front of our ranks. Just pause the game for a second. Let's say, like I said at the beginning, I was going to explain to you why I've bought these cheap archers instead of Cretan archers. And that's because I've got 5 units of them. And as I say, even with gold upgrades, these cheap archers are only like 250 denarii each. And if I can get the enemy to use their expensive archers, as I say, these auxiliary archers are with just gold attack are 520 denarii each. That's 300 denarii more than my cheap archers. And if I can get them to shoot at my cheap archers and these chosen archers, now these chosen archers are even more expensive. Chosen archers with gold attack are 910 denarii each for each unit. 910. Like I said, if I can get these expensive archer units to shoot at my cheap ones, then those expensive, every time they fire an arrow, it's so expensive against my weak ones, or these cheap Roman archers that Mahoney's bought. So as I say, it makes financial sense, because then you can spend more money on your elite troops. So other people might like to bring Cretan archers, but I find that, as I say, this is an old army of mine. It's Greek cities one, so that's why I bought those 5 cheap archers. As I say, if I can get the enemy to shoot their expensive arrows at my cheap archers, and not target the flanks of my infantry or target my allies' cavalry, then that's fair enough. As you can see here, I'm moving my A army across here to get right behind Mahoney's infantry, just in case he's targeted, as I feel he may well be. As they'll probably look at him as the newer player to RTW, and may decide to try and hit him there. If you notice, I'm moving my cheap archers forward now to target those 2 auxiliary archers at the front of the enemy team. There, as I say, there's my cheap archers I've brought forward. And they're targeting those expensive auxiliary ones there. As I say, if I can encourage those elite archers to shoot at my cheap ones instead of targeting my allies' cavalry or the flanks of my my allies' infantry, then that's great as far as I'm concerned. So there's a little bit of an archer battle going on at the moment before any tactics are done here. As I say, for the enemy's point of view, it is a bit difficult with my stretched army right behind my allies there. You can see there's the auxiliary archers there targeting my my archers there. As you can see, they've already suffered a lot of casualties from my my cheaper archers. Let's just pause the game for a second to take stock of exactly what's happening here. Let's say, you can see now Tamahac's formation is quite wide, and my guess is that they've lined up their cavalry and chosen axemen right behind Tamahac's infantry there. And I've noticed that Piper's kept his shock troops, if you like. What I mean by that is the Berserkers and the Night Raiders there are the morale lowering troops in the centre of his allies' army. So whichever of his armies, allies' armies attack, he can support with those shock troops. Plus he's keeping his cavalry back in the centre as well, ready to use to attack whichever one of his allies decide to attack first. As I say, looking at the battlefield at the moment, it looks like Mahoney may well be targeted here. It looks like it wouldn't surprise me if the SBQ army move forward in an aggressive manner here to start to engage our allies' infantry. You notice there's already some pilot exchanging going on between the two pilot shield units of either team.
We're under attack! We're under attack!
As I say, if you see, Germania's got 3 cavalry units out to the flank. Tamahac's got his cavalry ready in wedge formation to attack behind his infantry, and those effective against armour axemen are stood behind Tamahac's cavalry as well. So I think this could be the target, this right flank of ours. As I said before, it's difficult for the enemy team here because they know that whichever one of my allies they hit, I'm going to run one of my armies forward to support them for when they send in their German troops. So it is a bit difficult for the enemy team here. They're going to have to be really tactical and strategic with how they attack. So there's loads of pilot exchanging going on at the moment. You can see the archers, those chosen archers. Remember what I said with those chosen archers there? With just gold attack, they're 910 denarii each. And I've moved my cheaper archers forward to engage them. And the Germania general saw that and is now pulling his archers back. Let's say here on our right flank, it looks like that's where the attack may go, but if we look over on our left flank, we can see Cal has brought over some infantry units and his cavalry units there to counter what looks like a left flanking action here. Now, is this a ruse? Is this just something to make us think they're going to attack on the left? Could well be a tactical move there by the enemy team to make us think that. Because it still looks to me on the right flank as a place that they probably would attack. You notice Cal's putting an open order unit by the side of his infantry there. As I say, there's 6 cavalry and 3 Germania cavalry out there. As I say, Cal's put an open order unit there as a pilot shield unit for the left of his main formation. Meanwhile, back over onto our right flank here, like we thought earlier, it looks like this is where the main attack may well go in. And as I say, Tamahac's wide formation on this flank allows him to be able to do a flanking attack. He can move units around the right flank here. Can you see how firing into those close order units of Mahoney there, causing great casualties there by the SBQR pilots. Now I have to be careful with my infantry, because if I move them in and get bogged down in fighting Roman infantry, this would then give the Germania general a chance to move his shock troops, those berserkers and the Night Raiders, somewhere else on the battlefield. So I have to be careful here, but as you can see, Mahoney and Tamahac's infantry are really engaged. Let's just pause the game for a second here. If you notice, the Germania generals brought 3 of his cavalry units around this right flank. You can see that the SBQR cavalry is ready to charge in there, and you can see Mahoney's got his cavalry ready to counter. You've got those effective against armour chosen axemen. Now I reckon they're going to come around the right flank here. They could come around the right flank to go into the side of Mahoney's infantry. If you notice, the berserkers and the night raiders are moving over to the centre of my two allies there. You've got Julii troops there, just standing there at the moment, just kind of pinning Cal's units. And over on our left flank, as I said, I just wonder whether that was a tactical move to make us think they were going to attack on the left. So it does seem to me that the main aggressive attack here is going to be on the right flank. Right, if you notice, the berserkers are running forward. I've noticed that. I'm going to move my A army forward in preparation for just in case those berserkers are activated and charge into Mahoney's army. Okay, so I upped spears, pikes, ran forward, and then I've put my pikes down. So my pikes are now set and ready to receive any attack from the enemy. As I say, Mahoney's out here. Let's just pause again for a second. So as you can see here, my Greek cities A armies move forward to engage the enemy infantry. It's a precautionary measure there because it looked like the berserkers and night raiders were moving forward as well. And of course, it's the berserkers and night raiders that I really would like to kill with my pikes. As you can see, those chosen axemen we saw earlier, we thought they might come around the right flank. They've moved round. And if Mahoney attacks with his cavalry, he's going to be up against the 3 units of SBQR, 3 units of Germania cavalry, and those effective against armour axemen. So there's the berserker units there. Let's see what happens next. Wouldn't surprise me if he activated those berserkers there to go into the rear and flank of our enemy. Right, he's charged, his enemy's charged, his allies charged at SBQR cavalry. Let's just pause again for a second. You see the SBQR generals charged his cavalry in there to weaken and frighten our troops there. If you notice, the berserkers have now been activated. See the red banners flashing above them on and off? That means they're now activated and they will savagely attack the nearest enemy troops there. Now if you notice that Mahoney's got infantry facing away from them, so the berserkers are going to the rear of those units and could cause a mass rout. If the berserkers start a rout this end, then the whole battle line, our whole battle line, could collapse. So that's probably why he's charged them in there. He saw there's like a chink in the armour of our battle line there, and if those berserkers hit, as I say, it could start a chain rout all the way down our battle line. Meanwhile, over here on our far right flank, you can see a lot of enemy cavalry activity out there. And there's the berserkers charging in, and bang, as those berserkers charge in, straight away routed 2 of our allies' units in quick succession there. As those berserkers charging. Right, there's a third, there's the Eagle unit just gone as well. If you notice, Cal's brought some of his infantry over to support there. Now what I'm trying to do here is I want to try and turn my pike unit, that end pike unit, towards those berserkers there to stop them hitting me in the flank. So by Cal bringing over some infantry there, he's managed to like slow down that berserker attack here, allowing my pikemen to turn and hopefully face the danger of those berserkers coming in. Remember, if those berserkers hit pike units head on, they will die quickly. So that's the reason why I bought this Greek cities army here. As you can see though, but if those berserkers start a chain rout all the way down our battle line is what was what being looked for by the enemy. So I just hope that one pike unit can do pretty good. As you can see over here on the right, you've got Mahoney charging into those effective against armour chosen axemen, as well as enemy cavalry out there as well. Those axemen do a lot of damage to cavalry. If you notice, Cal's brought his cavalry over to this flank as well. So you've got Germania cavalry, those effective against armour axemen, and SBQR infantry and cavalry attacking here on our right flank. As you can see, those berserkers now are attacking my pikes head on, and if you notice that they're being killed quite quickly there. But As you can see, Cal's cavalry charging into the enemy infantry and cavalry here on the right flank. Let's just pause the game for a second. You can see Terminator wanting to bring his July cavalry through the gap into the rear of our engaged cavalry. But with me moving my pikes over as fast as I can, and Cal moving some infantry units down, I guess he thought he might have been caught between the two, so he's pulled his cavalry back. But as I say, here you can see, I reckon whoever wins the cavalry battle on this flank could well go on to win the battle with cavalry dominance there. As you can see, my A arm is still holding firm there with Mahoney, and the Berserkers now are down to just a few men each, where they've attacked that pike unit I turned on the end of my battle line there to face them. And it really does, you know, when they charge into pikes, it really does kill them quite quickly, as you've seen there. So I was lucky to be able to turn that unit to face those Berserkers at that time. Let's say this cavalry infantry battle over here, I think whoever wins it here could well go on to win the battle. So there's effective against armour axemen, there's SBQR infantry, there's SBQR cavalry and Germania cavalry against our allies Scipii cavalry there. If you notice, a lot of our Scipii cavalry are starting to rout at this time. Let's say it's not looking very good for us on this right flank. You notice Cal's bringing reinforcements over to the right, and that Julii cavalry is moving across as well in an aggressive manner. Let's say things are not looking that good for us on that right flank as it stands at the moment. Let's just pause the game for a second. A lot of aggressive attack in there. Don't forget you got that Germania heavy infantry, the axemen, and all that cavalry over there on our right flank. Luckily, Cal's brought some reinforcements over to support the right flank. If you notice, there's some Germania cavalry attacking some of our retreating units. But if you notice, I put a line out of my Spartans there to try and stop those reinforcements getting over to this other flank. It may well put them off trying to get through that Spartan line. And my A army is still engaged against the enemy here. There's a Knight Raider unit's got in behind one of my pike units there, or maybe two Germania units have got in behind. Still a lot of enemy cavalry here that could well be the problem there. I see Tamahak's protecting the rear of his engaged troops there, because there's some of our cavalry out there as well. But as I say, this right flank maybe could prove pivotal to the outcome of this battle here. As I say, luckily Cal brought a lot of his infantry over from the other flank there. As I say, I've thrown out like if you like, a wide battle line of my B Spartan army there to try and stop any Julii reinforcements getting over to this flank. As I said earlier, by choosing Greek cities straight away, I'll put my allies at a cavalry disadvantage, so I've got to try and use the Spartans in the best way that I can, make the most of that elite infantry. As you can see, there's Germania troops and Julii cavalry charging there. I've thrown over two of my Spartan units. I got another Spartan unit on the way as well, and that usually makes enemy cavalry retreat, because they know that pike units have got such good anti-cavalry bonus that when they see pike units coming into the fray, they usually pull their cavalry back, which is just what I wanted them to do there. And we've managed to rout a lot of the enemy cavalry at this time on our right flank. But there is still a lot of, my guess is that a lot of that enemy cavalry will rally. And as I say, they have got the cavalry dominance here. There's a lot of Julii, fresh Julii infantry here, probably still with loads of pilers ready to move in. I noticed that Cal's brought his battle damaged infantry back towards my Greek city lines. Cal did really well to bring his whole infantry from that left over to the right. and I managed to cover the enemy Julii unit with that wide B Greek cities army of mine there. As you can see, there's a whole battle situation at the moment. I say I don't bring pike factions very often because I think you need good micromanagement skill and also very fast reactions. And I know over the years my reactions have slowed a bit, so I just thought I'd give this old Spartan army an airing on the 2017 battlefield, RTW battlefield, just to see how well it would do. But if you look at Cal's army, and there's some Mahoney's units left, they're still very battle damaged. There you are, let's see, this Julii army's still got a lot of pilers in. Can you see them throwing pilers into my Spartans? But remember, those Spartans have got 2 hit points and excellent specifications. So pilers don't do as much damage to those units as they do to other units. I'm very aware of the enemy cavalry, and I'm very aware that my allies' infantry are all battle damaged, and if they're hit at certain times by that cavalry, then they could rout my allies there. So I need to be aware of that with my pike units there. As you see, I've stretched the Spartan unit out there to try and stop those Julii cavalry coming in behind or into the flank of my allies' infantry. All the time I'm trying to make it as difficult as I can for the enemy. Right, can you see that Germania cavalry going into the back of one of my units? But I spotted that and I turned that pike unit quick enough to make that Germania general back off. If he'd have carried on charging, he'd charged straight into Spartan pikes there. So that was a good move by the Germania general, backing off at that time. But you can see all the cavalry that the enemy's got. It's a big cavalry advantage they've got here. See that Julii cavalry charging into the side of Cal's infantry there, routed 1 unit straight away. You see this Germania cavalry now would charge forward into pikes, and then he decided not to charge home anymore on that one. But as I say, Mahoney and Cal have both got very battle damaged infantry units here. So as they have to be careful how they use them, because obviously because they've suffered a lot of casualties, their army will have quite low morale. But luckily their generals are still alive, which will give them obviously that general morale bonus.
The enemy show their true virtue. They are not soldiers.
Now, if you notice that Cal's moved a lot of his infantry a little bit out of our battle line there, a little bit isolated. Meanwhile, back over here you can see there's a lot of Germania cavalry there ready to charge in. Remember, that cavalry is elite cavalry, really good specifications, looking to charge in maybe into my allies' infantry or into the rear of my engaged troops. You've got Julii infantry here, out here still, and I've still got some of my Spartan units out there. But as I say, if you notice, Cal's moved a little bit isolated out of my Spartan lines, and if you notice that there's Julii units coming in from both sides of that of Cal's units there. So you'll have to be careful, I think, because as I say, all his units are very battle damaged and they could be routed at this stage. There, as you see how he moved his units out from behind my Spartan units. Right, can you see that Germania cavalry going for my general? Bang, as that cavalry hits. But if you notice, I noticed that and turned my general pikes towards those Germania cavalry, and that Germania cavalry now is suffering loads of casualties from the pikes. They tried to rout going into the rear of my engaged Greek cities units there, but remember, Spartans' morale is excellent and they have to be extremely battle damaged to rout. But here's the main worry for us here. Can you see some of Cal's units are starting to rout already here, being squeezed by those Julii units? I've moved one of my Spartan units out to help. I think I'm going to need to move more Spartans units out there to help Cal. As I say, running out, if you like, of the Spartan defensive line that we set up now. As I say, he got a little bit isolated, and he's pretty well surrounded, well, on 3 sides by the enemy Julii, and as you can see, I'm bringing out Spartan units to help him now. See, Cal's infantry looking very beleaguered there, but luckily he's still got his general, giving that morale bonus to those troops. As you can see here in the small pockets of my infantry still moving forward. There's a Julii cavalry unit just gone into Cal's infantry. I thought that might have routed him, but as I say, he's still got his general there, giving those infantry good morale. As you can see here, I'm bringing Spartan units around the rear of those attacking Julii units. And the Julii general spotted that and has turned his units to actually face my my units there. But if you notice, I'm attacking the Julii general and 2 of his units from both sides. It's like a vice. Those Greek city units of mine are closing slowly like a vice on those Julii units. If we can get that Julii general to rout, then I think we would be doing very well here. Can you see Cal's throwing an infantry unit into the flank of that engaged Julii infantry, and I'm bringing more Spartan units back to this main part of the battlefield here. And you can see more and more Julii units starting to rout now. And there you are, the Julii general's just been routed there.
Great God be praised! The enemy general.
So my guess is the other Julii units will start to rout as well now. Their morale will start to drop. And it looks like our team has managed to go on and to win this battle. Just like to show you how intense the battle was on the flanks. If you look over on this right flank here, you can see how intense the fight was. Remember, that's where the battle actually kicked off there, with the aggressive attack by the enemy team on Mahoney's army there. And you can see by the dead how intense the fighting was. Then it goes a bit quiet in the centre. Now if we move over to the left flank, you can see the piles of dead there as well. So it's quite intense on both flanks there, as the enemy showed how aggressive they could be on both flanks by attacking. So that was my guess is this is going to be a pretty close there, because there's not many of my Scipii allies left. If you look, very battle damaged units. Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is really well played to everybody in the game. It was only a close victory as we thought it would be. Really well done to Chimera Tamahawk, really well done to COH Piper, and really well done to COH Terminator. Nice kills, nice aggressive moves, and some nice tactical attacking moves there as well. It was difficult for you guys, bearing in mind that there was 2 Greek cities armies stood right behind our Roman allies there, so it was very difficult for you. Really well played to Cal, and really well played to Mahoney. Some nice defensive work there, some nice teamwork there by you two. Really well played. And one of the reasons I wanted to show this battle was just to show newer players maybe to RTW that have come up against Germania armies and have been routed by great Roman and Germania combination hits. Well, if you bring pike units, maybe like an army like I've shown you here, this old army, maybe you can actually counter the Germania Roman attack. If you look at some of the battle statistics here, you can see some of my Spartan units did quite well, others not so good. And those cheap archers, they didn't do a lot of damage, but they did attract a lot of expensive arrows fired at them, which is just what I wanted to do, rather than those expensive arrows being shot at my allies' cavalry. As I say, if you choose Greek cities, you put your allies at a cavalry disadvantage straight away, so you must use the infantry well. The Spartan commanders, I hope you enjoyed the battle, and bye for now.